aspects of your development. And what it therefore means, it means that, yes, the assessment could be an assessment that has got a strong or a component of technical competencies. But what will then help you to understand is that in responding to the task, you might need to demonstrate these other elements of what? Of your professional competence. And we then spent a lot of time on developing as well as helping you to demonstrate such pervasive skills across different across different circumstances. Then what we also have, it's the simulation of the actual APC assessment. So firstly, we've got what? Firstly, we've got the case study assessment that I mentioned. But what I just want to then emphasize is that 3 of those assessments are going to be venue-based. And this now to just help you prepare for what you are going to experience come 14 December 2022. And the idea then is that you will then have an option to either bring your own laptop, or we can then provide a laptop for you for no additional charge. Sorry. I think someone's mic is open. Okay. So as I was saying, the simulation of the APC case study. So firstly is the venue-based assessment, but then secondly, it is the use of the Cyca software, because sometimes it's the small things that you can find tends to really throws you off. So we then facilitate those assessments using the Cyca software. It's got limitation, and that's by its design. And through that, if you're not well prepared or if you're not well exposed to the software, it can really undermine your ability to demonstrate professional competence. And that's one thing that we just want to make sure that it does not stand in your way come 14 December 2021. And accordingly, we're gonna facilitate the 3 assessments on a venue-based assessment across the country, and with the first one being facilitated on a venue-based assessment. Then come number 5. Number 5, it's the APC. One of the unique challenges is its judgment calls, because one of the common thing we hear is, when do I know when to stop? So I'm busy then, and the task is saying, review this, and I'm enlightened, and I'm seeing, say, million issues with the documents I'm required to review. And the question is, where do I stop? And that's the question about coverage. And the other one will be, how far do I need to go? And the next one is about depth. And it's those the balance between the two that will really secure success, because you need to really manage your time to say that, yes, how far do I need to go? When do I stop? What is the core issue here? So we really then work at helping you understand how to really analyze the information on the day, and how to then use that information, linking it with your pre-release to respond to the task on the day. And we'll always say to candidates that do not use the ITC style. And what it often means, it means that you need to be present and assume the role of whatever person is presented to you. If we say you're a financial analyst, imagine that you are that, and when you respond, you need to respond as if you're engaging with what? With your senior management. So that those are the kind of things that we focus on quite thoroughly to make sure come the IOD, whether they are expected information, whether they are unexpected twists, you are well prepared. And one of the things that is then important after the process is to understand how to evaluate a professional competence in a task. To say that, all right, I've written all these points, I've gone through this in detail, but is this a C? Is this enough to be an HC? How do I avoid an LC? And understanding how as the assessment of professional competence works on a task basis is something that is critical to your success. And it also gives you the ability to be able to go on your own and work through other assessments. So we do that throughout the program. And just to work to what to just make sure that you understand how to evaluate professional competence, as well as be able to reflect and see areas where there are gaps. And that brings us to point number 6. Point number 6 talks about our approach to marking. And this is where we are saying that because the assessment of professional competence on a task basis and overall, is so critical to your development, we want you to understand that process. And for you to do that is to be part of the journey with us. And one of the things that we're excited to have introduced in the 2022 program, it's the concept of seeded scripts. So after each and every assessment, you will then get what we call a reflection pack. So the reflection pack will have guidance on the kind of work that you're expected to do in the pre-release information and the kind of research that was expected of you, and how you could have then started to anticipate the task that you can you could have gotten on the day, or that you got on the day. And then from there, it is also the specimen solution as well as the marking grid. And we then give you what we used as the test batch script. And the expectation, it's for you to mark that, but in addition, we're going to have a session where we do a feedback of the tasks. And as part of that feedback, you'll then have and we'll then work through together marking that script. That process will involve then going through a task on a line by line basis, line by line, to say, yeah, this is what the candidate was saying. Did you give a credit? Under which indicator? And why did you? Why not? So that you can really understand when we say that effective communication is important, when we say critical thinking is important, because sometimes a point can just fall short because it lacked the depth of the PRI. And in some cases, it lacked the depth of the technical competence, of the technical knowledge. In other cases, it is because it is not getting a credit because it was either not well constructed, or there were just so many grammatical issues that one could not easily pick up that was the core issue. And through that then process, you will then get to see what to avoid and what to really emphasize on in order to get and consistently hit that C. But in addition, it will then help you to go and undertake that self-assessment or reflection that we're talking about. Then the next part of it is the appeal outcomes. So we are then saying that, yes, as part of that self-reflection, you could have then gone to your own script and say, now I know how to evaluate professional competence. And I believe I check this indicator, I'm a clear C. Oh, there, I'm an LC. Then, boom, you get an outcome from us. We are saying that you are here and when you thought you were here. And it works both ways. It should work when you expect yourself to be an LC and we say you are a BC or a C. And also when you expect yourself to be a C and we then say you're a BC or an LC. So the process there now becomes a matter of what? Of then saying, how do you engage and query those differences to the extent that you still hold a view that your assessment was what was leading you to this particular outcome. So the appeals process is meant to then what? It's meant to give you that comfort that the team that is evaluating or that evaluated your script really applied their minds and the outcome that they've reached is well considered. And as part of the process, the way that we work, we've got markers that mark. After they mark, then there is what? An ATL, which is an assistant team leader that then reviews the marking as well as the quality of the comments. So before the script even gets to you, there have been 2 CAs that will have looked at that. But in addition to that process, there are team leaders, which then are the team members that I introduced earlier, that are then providing the overall support in order to ensure that the quality of the marking is what is of top notch. So that is with regards to point number 6, a transparent marking process as well as an opportunity to appeal outcomes. Then number 7, it's technical knowledge. So the APC will require that you have the right technical, let me call them foundation, because in some cases, it's not the calculation that will be expected of you. In most of the tasks that we have seen and that we will likely be assessing you on, it is likely that the calculation will have been done and you will need to do what? You'll need to review that calculation. If it's a calculation, it's not that the crunching is the one that will be complex, but it will be the rationale to get to that a response or to get to that outcome. And what we realize is that sometimes you will get the PRI and you'll see things being triggered, things like deferred tax, things like, say, valuations, and you might just want to go and refresh, say, your understanding of DCF, your understanding of, say, price earning valuation, your understanding of income taxes. So you then have a full library of CTA videos that you can use in order to do what? In order to bridge that technical gap. And therefore, come the assessment, you are doing, or your confidence is extremely high. And when you are reading the IOD, you are able to pick up the issues much more efficiently. Then you might then say that I want something more dynamic, and that's where number 8 comes in. So as part of being enrolled into the program, you get the privilege of joining our CT and ITC marking teams. And what it means that as a marker, you get to evaluate other candidate scripts. And it's always an interesting thing being on the other side, because you sit there and you're like, but this point is not clear. And such awareness, it really then helps you come your own assessment, where you stop and say, when I was marking, someone was talking about it this way, and I thought that was not clear. So it's quite good to avoid such mistakes. And that kind of insight and awareness can go a long way in terms of just helping you be thorough with your own responses. And because CT and ITC are quite technical, it then helps you to do what? It then helps you to be able to refresh some of that technical knowledge. And after everything is said and done, you might say that I still need assistance. So what it could mean that you marked yourself as part of the self-assessment, and you actually landed, say, on an LC, and that's where the marking teams have put you. So there you are saying that, guys, I don't want to appeal anything, but I need help. So the program includes unlimited access to the technical team. So if you are then saying that I need to just sit with Asen and he just helps me to see how I can improve my technical competence, my technical knowledge when it gets to this, it is what? It is it is an opportunity that is available. So we've got an online booking tool that you can use in order to book a session with our technical team or professional team. And also, as I've mentioned before, the management team, being myself, Fedi, as well as Ere, we are available throughout the program to ensure that the objectives and what we agreed or what the reasons you joined the program for, it's what you are receiving throughout. So the message is you are never going to be alone throughout the program. You are never going to be without support. And we really encourage you to use us. It's just for a short period of time. So if you don't like us, you just need to not like us for a short period of time and just use us. But if you like us, then that's even better. So, but I really hope that this you get to see in terms of our distinctiveness, in terms of building and developing a professional program that works and puts you at the core of it, to then just make sure that at the end of the day, it is your growth, professional development that is prioritized, and that you get the very best from the team. So Fedi will then be taking you through the details of that program over the next few slides. Fedi, you may jump in.
Yeah. Right. Good evening, everyone. It seems to be echoing. Randani, is it on your side? Okay. Right. Yes. Good evening once again. Thank you, Randani. Yeah, I think it's quite interesting what listening to Randani unpack the professional program that we are putting to you, and those 9 unique features propositions that he's outlined is what sets us apart. I think at this stage, I'm going to take you through your program as to when we talk about the APC 2022 repeaters course for EPC. What are we talking about? When do we start? Where do we start? How do we get there at the end? Okay. Maybe if we take a step back and say, you will be writing that assessment on the 14th of December, the PSYCHA assessment, 14 December. So we don't have a lot of time, if you think about it, to get and prepare for that. So we've got to really hit the ground running now. So what I mean is, you've got to really forgive yourself already, accept that it didn't happen when the results were announced last week, Friday, or when they were released at the end of February, and we are where we are, okay? So don't feel sorry for yourself. I mean, it's one of those things, and you're going to give it another good shot. You're going to give it another good shot, and we're here to support you, to really, really make sure that you get there. By the 14th of December, all of us here needs to be chartered accountants. Okay. So where do we start? We've already started. When we're talking about we're talking about us and your peers that were not sitting for APC 2021. So I'm talking the first timers. So we did what we call phase 1, and we complete with phase 1. But I want to take you through what is in that phase 1, because we recorded it, because we anticipated that there could be 1 or 2 of you guys who are here and who might need to revisit those elements. So I'm going to take you through what we're dealing with when we did phase 1, for me to understand whether you might need to revisit any of those topics, and also as we journey into what, because you are jumping into what we call phase 2, and I'm going to take you through phase 2 as well, to just sit and reflect and say, have I gone through that before? And would I still need to go back and revisit some of that material? Okay. So in phase one, when we started, we had a full session. And in that full session, we were defining what a competent professional is. We were unpicking professional competence. To say a competent professional, it's someone that possesses highest level of professional and technical competence. So this person is someone that knows accounting, audit, assurance, tax, ethics, governance, strategy, risk management, all those. That person has a strong view around those things. That person has got all the professional values and attitudes, meaning they are always eager to learn, lifelong learning. They are responsible and always willing to look out not for themselves, but for the citizens. Okay, meaning they're looking out for the society. They've got the public interest at heart. They are the most ethical people. So all that gives them the great and sound professional values and attitudes. And this person also, number 3, has the enabling competencies. So all those pervasive skills that Rendani was talking about. And we said that person has all those pervasive skills. And I'm going to talk about them in a bit as well. And we really define that to say, at the end of the program, we would like every single one of you guys to understand that you're going to be a responsible business leader and you've got to possess those technical competencies, those enabling competencies, those professional values and attitudes, and you need to be able to integrate those things. That was that session number 1, which we call defining a competent professional. Then from there, then we started in phase 1 to go and unpack every single one of those things I've mentioned. So we had a session where we say, no, you think technical competence is done when we've done ITC and CTA, but how does it get assessed at an APC level? Okay, if you think about the case studies that you guys have gone through in December and in March, they were highly technical and you needed to really come to the party from that technical element. And we had a session where we really perform a task with candidates to demonstrate the level of technical competence from a research perspective, from the 5 days of studying that technical competence on the day of the assessment, how to do it and how to write it down to cover and have adequate level of coverage and depth, meaning you've got the whys. You're not just superficial at the and covering it from a high level. We then had a section where we look at the ethical dilemmas to say, how do I address ethical dilemmas when I see it, especially when I'm addressing my boss, my immediate supervisor that this email is being sent to, and I'm seeing ethical dilemmas or inappropriateness or impropriety with what they're doing or suggesting. How do I address it and still remain polite so that it doesn't seem like I'm accusing them of something untoward, but I don't ignore it, because ignoring it is a professional suicide on its own. We had another session where Elton takes you through critical thinking. How do I make sure that I'm as critical as possible? And I've thought about all different elements that this needs me to look at this issue. I don't just consider the extreme situation, which might be the positive situation, and I've thought about all the negative elements as well. And Elton always says you need to wear 6 different critical hats, and those different critical hats are found in that session as to how do I make sure that I'm always wearing different hats when I'm reviewing something. Then we looked at business acumen, and this one is a journey. Rendani took us through in that session what business acumen means. What does it mean to really be in the context of the scenario? I mean, we wrote a case study where you guys were looking at schools, and later you looked at schools that even had a university. I mean, if I've never worked through a school or worked at a school or worked at an institution that's got schools and managing schools, how do I make sure that I understand their business model, their revenue model? How are they making money? What type of risks are they evaluating? What are they? How are they mitigating those risks? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses, the opportunities? How do I do those SWOT analysis? All that, which you usually have to do on day one of that pre-release information. How do I make sure that I'm on top of it and I'm able to adapt through multiple industries? And as Rendani mentioned, again, to say going forward, every second week, as we have our business acumen information sharing sessions with Lerato, what should I be aware of? How do I remain relevant and abreast to topical issues throughout this year? Because those topical issues is probably something that you're going to see on the case study on the 14th of December and across our case studies before you get there. So developing business acumen was something that we needed to take our first timers through to understand the extent of being able to adapt to this case studies and in different industries in the process. Developing effective communication skills, that's something that we just finished, where we get experts, language and business writing experts, to come and take you through, in the context of a SAICA case study, how do I make sure that my communication is clear, I'm able to express myself in a written form, it's logical, it's argumentative enough, and I don't have spelling and grammatical issues. And we got those experts to spend time with our first timers to go through that. So again, if you think you lack in that area, you will be able to access that material. Effective team and mentorship. I mean, one area that has made or broke some of the candidates' attempts when it comes to the 14th of December is this indecisiveness about what I need to be doing on my own as an individual, because I'm going to be sitting for that assessment on the 14th, or to the extent of the reliance I must place on my team. I mean, is it even possible for me to just do everything on my own? Probably not. But what does that mean? Do I place significant reliance on my team? Probably not as well, because you're going to be on your own on that day. So how do I effectively work with my fellow team members to make sure that we all collectively get there together? And on the day when they leave me and I'm on my own, I'm able to hold myself accountable and be able to ensure that all the triggers that have been researched, I'm up to date and I know very well, and I'm a subject area expert in each and every single one of them. Okay. And how do I make use of the brilliant mentorship initiative that EPC has developed? So we took them through that as well. And then we brought it all together to say, right, again, at the beginning, we started by saying defining a competent professional. We listed all the attitudes and values and enabling competencies, which now we've gone through every single one of them. Let's bring it all together, which is that integrated thinking. Okay, so we did all that with our candidates. And then we got into phase 2, and this is where you're joining. But in phase 2, before you joined, we said, guys, we're going to issue a SAICA APC 2020. Some of you might remember it if you were there. The APC 2020 was a BK, the BK case study, avocado case study. So we gave them the avocado case study and told them, don't go and ask your friends about it because they will have all the research. Don't go and look at the SAICA website to go and see all the specimen responses. Don't. Okay, so let's walk through it with you to show you how to do it. Okay, so we gave it to them. We sat with them to help them identify triggers, to say, what really is a trigger? How do we help you identify a trigger? We did it with them. Once you identify a trigger, what do I do with the trigger? Okay. And what action? I mean, my action and your action will not be the same, because I might be working for a farm that produces avocados already. So if you're asking me about trigger number one, which is the research of the industry, for me, because I work for that avocado business, I don't have to research anything. But for you, who is working in a bank, you might have a lot of work to go and research and bring yourself up to speed with how a farm works. So you see, the action and defining what an action is different for every single one of us. And I needed to make sure that our first timers understand that. But in a case where you find, as you reflect and assess yourself, you like, maybe I need that help, you are more than happy to, or welcome to go back to that. And how do I research? Where do I even start? Is it Google? Is it my standards? How do I do this? And what do I research, basically? And that's exactly what we were going through. And then we took a couple of tasks from that case study, and then we gave it to them for them to attempt so that we can mark them. Okay? And we did that. So that's where we are at. They just received their scripts in terms of marking the few tasks. There were 3 tasks that we took from the BK case study, which we had triggered for them to write and get assessed on. So we are here now. On the 2nd of June, they don't have anything that they are doing currently. So this is where you are joining. You are joining the program, at which point you're going to either now say, I actually want to journey with you guys in respect of the second mini case study. So again, we're going to identify some additional triggers from that BK case study. And then we're going to issue it as a pre-release information and triggering 3 tasks. And then on the 14th of June, that's when that case study is going to be written. Just 3 tasks. We call it a mini, just so that it's a small case study to get you into that mode again of attempting a case study, not a full blown. Okay. Or you can say, let me rather be using this time to catch up on a couple of things that I want to catch up on that they've done in phase 1. Really up, your choice. The reason I'm saying and giving this choice is because I understand that you know what you know. You know what you don't know. So absolutely, that's where we are. We are going to be doing mini case study B, which the pre-release will be out next week, Tuesday. So you need to really make sure that you register timeously so that by the Tuesday when the pre-release is out, then you can comfortably be jumping on that journey. Okay, let me pause here and see if from a kickstart, from a starting and jumping point, if there's any question before I say, then what happens after the mini case study? Okay. Komocho?
Thanks, Freddie. Good day, everyone.
How are you?
I'm not feeling okay. I'm still kind of hurt. So it makes it difficult for me to get straight into the case studies and actually do the self-reflection. And I feel like you guys are already at a point where you are expecting us to already be over everything and ready to grind. And I feel that is what also contributed to the way I did the rewrite, because I was still hurt from the December, and there was like 2 months, a month's difference from receiving the results, and 2 months give or take from writing.
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys will have that in the program that will also be a cushion for us to also deal with the emotions that we are facing from being unsuccessful with the 2021 paper.
A very, very good comment. And and just consideration, Komucho. Absolutely. I mean, if let's say you are sitting in a position, Komucho, that you're saying, you know, I still haven't dealt with this. It's okay. I think every single one of us needs to understand that it's okay. And we deal with things differently. Okay. And what does that mean? That means then also making a personal decision to say, I'm going to register, but I'm not going to jump in the mini case study, because the mini case study is not something that will break you when it comes to certification at the end of the program. You can absolutely skip it, meaning skipping the mini case study means you've got the entire month of July to deal with the hurt and the pain that we've gone through, to really self-reflect also on what we've gone through from the 2 case study, the December and the March, and really introspect as to where it went wrong. And that's where my colleague Zanele comes in, because she's also then helping you as a coaching supervisor to deal with those emotions, to say, Fedi, I actually think we need a coaching session with Zanele to really deal with acceptance, to deal with how did we get here before we move on. Also, I mean, we've got the whole month of June. Remember, we don't have main case studies. And I'm going to tell you about main case study. They only come middle of July. So we've got a month and a half to deal with this. It's only if you're saying, I've dealt with it. Or, I mean, I could be in a different situation, Komocho, where when I was writing it in March, I wasn't feeling well, or I knew something just happened and I didn't give it my all. So I've accepted the fate and let me just start working. You get what I'm saying? So absolutely, the program is designed in such a way that it needs to cater for all of our needs. Komocho, how does it feel?
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Kulekani?
Good evening, colleagues. I'll say colleagues. I think that's fair. I think following up on Kumucho's question, I just want to know is, because I think that the healing stage for me personally, I'm not talking for everyone, but the healing stage for me will be a time when I get to self-reflect on the December 2021, including March, you know. I think once I've done that part, I mean, in a way that maybe I don't know what the program entails, but, you know, obviously one has expectations. So I think maybe if we can get a chance where we go back to those case studies, because that's what is hurting everyone in this room. To say, okay, let's see what was expected. Let's see how did I go wrong? What should I fix? I think personally, after fixing that part, just I'm not sure when the specimen response are gonna come back and our scripts and all those. But I personally feel maybe after going through that journey,
yes,
everyone will be in a position to say, okay, yeah, now I know my flops. December, this is where I went wrong. March, this is where I went wrong. It will be more easy to, you know, move forward. So in short, is there any program of some sort that is going to cover that part?
Absolutely. Yes. And Kulekani, thank you for raising that question. And I mean, some of you might know that after the December, we had a workshop where we took the December paper and we unpacked it from just the business, the industry, and then later on every single task as a form also of demonstrating and making sure that candidates are able to accept as to what was the level of expectation and what they gave and why we are where we are, so that you are able to identify the gaps. Okay, and I agree with you, Kulekani. That's where then it helps you to move forward and say, well, going forward, I'll be able to, I need to work on the following. So a very good consideration that we will think about, and we'll come back to you on that when it comes to doing exactly the same for the March. And I guess we've got the time. We've got the whole month of June where we can look at doing that just for our repeaters candidates, and something that we will strongly put it in our calendars to make sure that we deal with it. Okay, thank you for that. What's the nine?
Evening, Fedi. I wanted to ask, when we receive our scripts, the ones for that we set for in March, will there be like a program where, let's say I have my script and I have done an assessment of what I think I should have done better, or what I actually did wrong that I wasn't supposed to do, what I went through during the exam, and then I have someone then take me through it, because I might not see that maybe it's a technical issue. I might think my technical is okay, but then when you then go through it, you then be able to pick up that maybe my accounting is not as strong. Maybe I need to work on my management accounting, or my strategy, or me thinking as a finance manager, something is off that I need to work on. Is there a program exactly for that, for me to then be able to start working on the things that I need to change?
Yes, absolutely. Wazanai, what that will take, the format that it will take this year, is that we've got what we call consultations, where you can book the whole hour session with any of our professional team members. So basically, you will be doing your self-assessment, self-reflection, as you say, and then obviously through that process, obviously you also are able to identify from the cycle letter as to which tasks brought you down. So obviously you might just not be wanting to consult on the tasks that you got C's and HC's. It's the ones that you got the LC. And when we do that, when you get through those, then you will be like, there's something with my tax. Can I have a session with Fedi perhaps? I just don't know what it is, but why am I an LC? And this is what I want to chat to Fedi about. And Fedi can look at your script, and then you have an engagement, a combination of your self-reflection and a professional team member then also giving you and challenging you and being critical around your approach, how you wrote your response, etc. And then you might say, it's not just that. Strategy also brought me down, and that's why overall I was an LC. Let me also meet Rendani. Let me also meet Elton. So yes, we've got that platform going already.
Okay.
Thank you. Banelile, and then I'm gonna move to the next slide.
Thank you. I just want to check that from the previous two speakers' questions, it's following there. Will this self-reflection be kind of a formalized session that we will actually know that the writers of December 2021 and March, this is the steps that you will actually follow? This is maybe a self-reflection a template that you will be using, and probably in booking those sessions with the experts, can I be also able maybe to have the expert to review maybe my script, to also assist on my weak areas? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Banelile, we will formalize this and make sure. So there are a couple of things. I think you asking about sort of like a template on how do I self-reflect, and probably a video on how to do that, a short 15 minutes video around that, and a written document just to guide you around that will be formalized. Okay. Secondly, in terms of the March paper and going through it, yes, we'll make sure that we fit it in the repeaters timetable to take you through every task. Well, starting with the business and then later on with every task, so that you guys can see where you went wrong. Okay, so it will be formalized and in a formal setting. And then later on, then in your case, when you've gone through the reflection and you followed the guidance and the video, then it's a question of how do I engage with the professional team member or the experts, as you call them. Yes, that is already formalized. So that one, it's already in play, and everyone, including our current candidates, when they've got a question around a particular task, they go in and book a session, and then you can just say, go through my scripts before the session, and they will be able to get your script, and then in the session, then you guys discuss one-on-one. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Cool. We'll just make sure that that guidance comes into being around the reflection. Let me just put that note. Cool. All right. Rendani, if you help me push to the next. So I guess what we're saying and the feedback that I'm getting around phase 2 is that there could be some candidates that say, hang on phase 2. Yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go through phase 2, which is okay. Let me deal with acceptance. Let me deal with what went wrong, etc. My emotional well-being. Let's have a session with Zanele around that. Let's have a series of sessions around the case study for March, and let's see where it went wrong. Let's do that. Okay. Let's go to our scripts and go and unpack where it went wrong, and let's have a one-on-one sessions with a professional team member. Let's do that in June and a bit of July or beginning of July, and then we will then be ready to attempt then or jump into phase 3. And how does phase 3 look like? So phase 3, that's when then now you are starting to get case studies. That's when you're starting to get full-on case study. At this time, guys, now I'm saying it again, you need to have forgiven yourself and you need to have moved on. Okay, so it's at this point that you say, I know what went wrong. I know how I need to work through it. I know how to improve it and make sure that I'm brilliant the next time. Then this is where we've got 3 full case studies. We need 3 full case studies. And then this 3 full case studies starting middle of July. So it's, as you know it, there will be a pre-release day where we release the case study. And then after releasing the case study, you spend 5 days with it, with your team, making sure that you identify triggers, you research and study the research that you're collecting, and making sure that you become the subject area expert. Okay, you become the subject area expert and you are ready for the day of the assessment. On the day of the assessment, then you sit for the 8 hours and get through the assessment. Okay, so that is normal as you know it. That happens for every single of our 3 case studies. And here, this is where I'm talking about you as our repeaters candidate. And then after that, then after attempting the case study, then what happens is that we release what we call a reflection pack to say, candidates, yes, you've gone through what you've gone through. When you reflect, do you think you've done everything you possibly should have done? But let's help you reflect and say, this is what we were expecting of you in terms of identifying the triggers and also research and the extent of the research. And in that reflection pack, then we also then say, it includes both written material and the video. And then also we say, assess yourself. Here is the specimen solution. Here is the marking grid. Can you go through your script and see what outcome you're going to land with? Okay. And then once you've done that, Once you've done that, then we say, also, we're going to give you that seeded script that Rendani was talking about, to say, we picked up one script and can you evaluate it so that we come together so that everyone can see exactly what the markers are seeing? Okay, and then are we coming to the same conclusion in terms of whether this is a limited competent, a borderline competent, or a competent script? It helps you put yourself in the shoes of the marker and helps you going forward to understand what is expected of you. Then you are able to use the fourth week to engage with, oh, sorry, before I move on. And then in that process, our program also then has spent 2 weekends where we go through every single task with you in a live class session to take you through the information on the day for every single task, to say what was expected of you, what did you guys do, and then also to mark that seeded script together. And then in the fourth week, then you can engage with your mentors, engage with our coaching specialists to make sure that we deal with whatever we need to deal with in preparation of the next case study. Okay, and then we release the results. By the time we release the results, you should know what you're expecting anyway, because then you would have self-assessed. And then if anything is not looking right from what you're seeing and what you expected, then you go through the appeals process. You book sessions with the professional team members to consult, and if you just need any advice or guidance. And then we've got breaks where, let's say for 2 weeks, there's nothing that we're doing. We just, collecting ourselves, making sure that we've got a breathing space before the next case study. Then we do this 3 times. Case study 1, 2, and 3. And then we expect you to be competent in at least case study 2 and 3. Okay, you can even be borderline competent in case study 2 and 3. So basically what I'm trying to say is you can be limited competent in case study 1, be a borderline in case study 2, and then be competent in case study 3. If not, then you've got the +1, the supplementary case study, which is based on the same scenario or case study as the 3rd case study, to give you that opportunity to be competent and then be eligible for a certificate. Okay, so it's 3 plus that supplementary assessment. And that's why Ketabahle was asking, I have a certificate, how do I transition? And I hope in me explaining all this, it helps you understand how to transition. So that certificate that you've got, I would want you to think you don't have a certificate and you're working towards getting a certificate, so that you are being on a trajectory of improving your competence and making sure that by the 3rd case study, you are at least competent. Because that competence is not something that gets achieved only on the 14th of December, whether you've got a certificate or not. Competence is achieved over time, and it builds your confidence that, oh, I've been declared competent by a professional program provider. So I've got a big shot to give it on the 14th of December. I hope that makes sense. Okay. That's addressed. Mishak, you also had your hand up and I didn't recognize it at the time. Did you want to say something? And Rendani, yes, you can push to the next slide. Mishak? Not. Rendani, is there anything from what I've covered and questions that are coming in the chat box that we probably need to address before I address the next couple of slides, or if there are any questions?
No, thank you, Freddie. I think there was just on 2 points. Firstly, it's just maybe as a note for those that are planning to really reflect on the March case study. Because from what I've gathered, SAICM, I think they mentioned that the letters will only be released in 2 weeks' time.
Sure.
So
It's gonna take a while.
yeah, so that means that during that time there will be a limited opportunity for someone to reflect. And at that point, I'm not sure whether the scripts are going to be coming in as well around that time. Because if they are delayed, then that will also delay that reflection process. So just in terms of just thinking through the process and just for one to really manage the expectation, that it will be important to just be mindful of those timelines and just be mindful of, yeah, what could I be doing from now until then. And it's quite important to say that maybe there are also lessons that maybe you don't need to wait until you get your scripts. You could be saying that, yes, maybe I remember I was surprised about this information on the day, and you could start reflecting on your released information and how you engage with it. And if that will then require that you start then the work there and then engage us there, then that could be then part of that journey, rather than say you're gonna wait and then there's uncertainty around that.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was just one.
And I think that's very important, Rendani, because I mean we can't sort of like waste 2 weeks of just waiting. And we need to be doing something in the background. But yeah, we will reflect on the I'm sure the 183 candidates online will also be reflecting.
Okay, yeah, no, that will be good. And I think someone just wanted you to clarify something on that outcomes. Is it Ashton?
Is it the eligibility?
Yes. What if you're competent in case study 1 and 3? That was the question that came up.
Must I answer, or do you wanna?
Yes, please. You can go for it. Thank you.
Cool. And thank you, Rendani. And Ashton, I think that's a very good question. We've got what we call an eligibility guidance document to show when do you get the certificate. And if you get a competent in case study 1 and 3, that is demonstration of competence and you will get the certificate. But that document is quite comprehensive and it's got all combinations. And my best one is always, which is sort of like an average one, is always this starting at an LC. Not that I encourage you to, but I'm just saying usually our first timers, you would start at an LC, then the next one you get a BC, and then the last one you hit a C, and then you've got the certificate. So absolutely. Or something happens along the line and you need to write the SAP, and then you get a C as well. So, and also, or voluntarily write a SAP because you already are eligible for a certificate, but you want that continuous practice. And then, yes, you will be eligible for a certificate. Mpo?
Thank you very much for the session. I think let me make 2 points. First of all, guys, thank you very much. You guys are doing well. It's nice to see black faces in the industry who are competent, eloquent, and doing the work that you are doing. So big up, gentlemen and ladies in the background, to all the team. It encourages me quite a lot. So that's enough on that one. Secondly, I raised a point on the chat. The point that I raised on the chat is there an optimum strategy on the day? You know, because a whole host of things get said, and in terms of I mean, listening to the session today, we are having all of this discussion and you guys are quite extensive in terms of explanation and stuff like that. But is there a sweet spot on the day, you know, to say, you know, if you approach this exam in this way, you are sure to be working within your strengths from the perspective of time management, from the perspective of you may have not addressed all the triggers, you may not have identified all the triggers on the day and things like those, you know. I mean, me sitting here right now, I can tell you that in the March exam, it took me about an hour, you know, before I could make sense about everything. You know, there was all this noise happening around. The air conditioner was on. I could not work with the air conditioner and stuff like that, you know. But when I started to settle down, it was 1 hour 20, 1 hour 30 minutes later, you know. And then that compromised me on the last question. I had 20 minutes to write the last question and stuff like that. It may be that the reason I'm sitting here is because I got an LC on the last question and got C's for everything else. It's possible. I don't know.
We don't know. Yes.
So my question, my question to you guys is there an optimum sweet spot strategy for the day? You know, a friend of mine said to me, you know, Mpo, if your exam, what it's telling you is that go to document number E for task number 4. So why do you have to read the whole exam to answer document number D? Go to document number D and read document number D to answer task number 4. You know, so what's the point of reading the whole exam?
Yeah.
You know, and all of those things. So what I'm trying to,
I think indeed, maybe sorry just to cut you, but
sure.
maybe just to respond.
Yeah.
Absolutely, there is that sweet spot, and I always call it presence on the day. You need to always be present on the day of the assessment fully, and we take you through those things. We take you through those daily, the on the day strategies in terms of time management. How do I make sure that I'm present? Rendani spoke about how do I make sure that I've covered a wide range of issues in every single task. How do I make sure that I've covered those issues at the deepest level possible without wasting my time talking unnecessarily things? So all those things, it's a combination, and we deal with them in guiding you around that, in how to tackle that information on the day. And we do it using tasks. So absolutely something that you can look forward to in the program. Okay. Nobuhle?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mpho. And thank you for the acknowledgement and the feedback and in the contribution to the profession. Thanks. Nobuhle?
Hi, good evening, everyone. What I wanted to ask is, I know that we need to have paid at least 25% of the fees by 31st of July 2022. So in the meantime, before we pay anything, are we fully benefiting from the program, or there are things that we will be limited to before we can start to benefit, or rather we paid all the fees? And secondly, I just wanted to understand the structure of the program, like as to how much time would I need for the program, at least every week, to be on track with everything. Like, will there be any classes or whatsoever? Thank you.
Thank you, Nobuhle. And both those questions Rendani will take. So around the fees and benefiting up and the point of payments, we've got a slide to deal with that. And also the timetable, how it looks, and the starting time of sessions until the end time. He will deal with it. We've got a slide on general information. Thank you. Luto, anything I can deal with before I take the slide and then give it back to Rendani to deal with the general information?
Yeah, with what you said now, I'm not sure whether you're the person I should be asking, but it's more with regards to the Tutuka thing. So one of the requirements that you have to submit there.
Okay, maybe hold that thought as well. Rendani will deal with it.
Thanks.
And then you will come back if it's still unclear. All right. Just maybe then, in terms of wrapping up and just summarizing our program. So like I said, developing competence is a journey. You can see it start from that green bar from the beginning to demonstrating competence at the end of the program. And when SAICA declares you competent, I think it's going to be on the 22nd of February 2023. So the day we're looking forward to. When you are ready to enter the profession. So, like Rendani spoke about extensive guidance that we provide you. The support level is immense. The looking at the seeded script and being a marker, not just a marker for CT and ITC, which are the added benefits, but also marking your fellow candidates and seeing your script on screen with more than 100 candidates critiquing it is an invaluable lesson, okay? The time that you spend with yourself and self-assessing enables you to really unpack where the issues are lying, okay? And we will all be lying to ourselves if we say we don't have any development plans, or we don't have any development or issues or matters that we need to develop. So that process of really asking yourself, where did it go wrong? For every single case study, including the March case study, is invaluable and it's what we emphasize in our program. Demonstrating competence requires comprehensive feedback that we give, the personalized feedback, the one-on-one sessions, the level of details that the markers help you get there, the mentorship program that the mentors are part of the marking teams. They understand our case studies. And when you talk to them, it's not just on the emotional well-being, it's also around the technical elements of the case study. They understand it and they can tell you and look at your script and assist you in evaluating where it went wrong. The consultations I spoke about, the appeals process, the fact that you can sit with your own script and say, the marker got it wrong here, and motivate. And when you're motivating, if you are saying something that is not sitting on the script, that should trigger to you that actually, I should have clarified this point in the script, not later on by backing it up, okay? So it's the appeals are for the obvious things that the marker missed, and everyone can read it and say, yeah, no, this is worth a credit, okay? And like I said, 3 case studies that after each case study, you are entitled to just reach out to any of the professional team members and have a consultation and appeals process. I think that will definitely ensure that you are competent at the end of the program. You are eligible to a certificate and has the most confidence to go and sit for APC 2022 on the 14th of December. Rendani, if you push to the next. Rendani?
Freddy?
Yes.
Yes, we are on general information.
Cool. All right. Is the slide not wanting to move?
It has moved on my side. Let me just check what's happening.
Okay.
Just project again.
Yeah, maybe project again.
Where is it? See it now?
I still see our APC journey.
Okay, something's wrong.
Can I tell you a story while Rendani is fixing the
Please
slide?
do, Pomocho.
So one time I was writing my CTA tests, and it was an accounting paper. And in that paper, they were asking for journals. I remember not knowing which side is the debit side. Like, I knew my expenses were supposed to increase and there had to be a journal that I have to put in and I had to debit something, but I wasn't sure kind of in the columns, is it the left or the right? So eventually I got the result and I failed the test, right? So in the March paper, with the IFRS 5 question, I remember thinking, but I read this, I created scenarios for IFRS 5, but I still can't process which one is a business unit, which one is I was so flustered. It was so difficult.
And it's at that point, Komucho, that Zanele will say you need to work on the emotional resilience. There's no need to panic. You've got this. Just breathe and we'll get okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Deal with the general information. We've kept the guide far too long. Thank you.
I'm sorry to hear that, Komucho. Ish. Yeah. All right. The general information. So this is the lighter part of our engagement tonight. So just to clarify the two programs that we have, or the two offering rather, because the other is not a program, that you can register for. And this will then depend firstly on your need as well as in your budget. And I think that then the question that we're coming through were just around, what if I have a certificate? What do I do? And so on. So what we've then put together here is we've got two programs or two offerings. So one is the one that you will see when you go online under APC, that is then referred to as the APC Repeaters Course. And with regards to APC Repeaters Course, this forms part of our APC professional program. So why is that important? So our arrangement with SAICA says that we can accredit candidates that go through our program, meaning that if any candidate comes through and they just want to sit for the case study, or they just want one part of the program and so on, the arrangement does not allow us to then provide an opportunity for a certificate. So then we created, therefore, the repeaters course, which will then form part of the APC professional program. So in other words, when we issue the certificates at the end of the year, they will then refer to you as having completed the APC professional program. And this year we were running what we called the APC comprehensive course and the APC professional course. And this will then be the third APC repeaters course. But by the time we get to the end, the program, the courses all form part of the APC professional program. And therefore, when we submit the list of candidates eligible, it will then be what? It will just say they've completed the professional program. And what the primary difference or the primary inclusions of the programs are, is that it includes phase 1 and phase 2 content, which is what Fedi has just gone through with you. And as he clarified that some of the parts of the program we've already went through, so that will then be covered through the pre-recorded sessions. And what we will then do tomorrow, you are again going to get a guideline to say that we consider this to be a priority. So over the next couple of weeks, we then recommend that you set time during the week in order to go through this. So when I say during the week, it's because we don't mainly have classes during the week. Most of the time, you'll see our classes run over the weekend. And when we get to the timetable, I just clarify how it works, but there's also a copy of the timetable that you can also access. But then to clarify that point is to say the content for phase 1 and for phase 2, we believe that there's quite a lot of value that some of you may still find, especially with some of the questions that you are asking with regards to say that, yes, maybe I had prepared, I missed really issues on the day, I missed issues before I even got in, I was surprised when they were assessing me on this on the day and so on. Because that's what was the focus on phase 1 and 2. You will definitely find value there. Then third point is then to say that, as I've mentioned, at the end of the program, if you then meet the eligibility criteria that we've put together, then you will be awarded a certificate, which will then be valid for what? For a period of 3 years. So that is what the professional program then gives you access to. And just to clarify, if you just say that I want to see this eligibility criteria in detail, you can drop an email to the caretaking team and they can share that with you. So you'll see that it covers a number of permutation to say, what if you miss this case study because maybe you're not doing well, maybe you've got an emergency, and so on and so on. So it deals with all those aspects, including the appeals process, and also how the supplementary process works. So all that detail is captured in the eligibility criteria document. In terms of the tuition, we've got we've got the full we've got what we call the first time candidates. So these are the candidates that are enrolling with EPC for the very first time. So you were not with us in 2021, and you were not with us in 2020. The tuition is 10,500. But if you're with us, say in 2020 or in 2021, then you are then eligible for the discounted fee of 7,000. So that is the difference between the two prices. So 7,000, it's for candidates that were with EPC in 2021 or 2020, and anyone who's registering with EPC for the very first time, it is going to be what? It is going to be 10,500. So we've been engaging with SAICAM, and they informed us that they've sent out communication through employers as well as directly to the candidates that set for APC 2021, that they will be funding up to 7,000 of the tuition. And what it therefore means, it means that if you meet that the qualifying criteria that they've set out, which includes 1, you have set for APC 2021, 2, you are a South African citizen, and 3, this is the third one, it's just not coming, yes. But yes, if you meet the criteria that they've set out, then you will then be eligible for funding. However, that is just the first part of it. When you enroll into a program, you are required to complete an application form. So that process, just to clarify, it's a process that is governed by them, but facilitated by us. So they will tell us that candidates that are interested in funding, they will need to complete a form that has got these particular details. So that form is available online, and you will need to complete what they call a learner agreement, and you will need to submit supporting documents. So everything that you see them, it's what they've told us that they want, and they've asked us to facilitate on their behalf. So if you have already registered a MyUniverse account, when you log in, you will find that there is a menu item called Tutuka. And there will be 3 submenus. The first one is the application process. So detailed steps are given them in terms of what you need to do in order to apply for funding. And number 2, we then clarify what do we do when we receive your funding. And number 3, we also provide documentation and additional instructions to clarify the process. And fourthly, you will then see that we've got the contact details of the APC caretaking team in case you are stuck and you need assistance. So that is the first submenu. So if you go online now, you'll then see all those instructions. And as I'm clarifying, those are verbatim the instructions from Tutuka, because the funding is from government and there are some processes that they need to go through in order to continue to be able to run this kind of funding initiative. So it's important that the information as requested, you submit it in order not to delay your process, the funding process. And after you've submitted, we have then committed to 3 working days. So let's say you submit maybe now after this session, you go and submit. So you'll count tomorrow and then count Monday. And we are saying by Tuesday, you will have received feedback on your application. So if you are a returning candidate, what it means that your fee account will then be zeroed, and then you'll be treated as a fully enrolled candidate. But if you are a first-time candidate, your tuition fee of 10.5 will then be reduced by 7,000, and you will need to deal with only 3.5. And when you deal with 3.5, our standard payment terms apply. The standard payment terms require that you pay 25% of the amount, and you pay the balance up until, or you pay the balance over monthly installments up until 30 September 2022. So what it will therefore mean, it means that 1, if you qualify for funding, you will get your feedback, assuming you apply, say, tonight, or let's say tomorrow. You'll then get a response by Wednesday. It can be quicker, but we're just committing to 3 working days. So if you submit tomorrow, by Wednesday, you will then have a response. And the response could be your application is approved, in which case then you get a credit and your account is immediately activated, awaiting then you meeting meeting the standard terms on the 3.5, or otherwise, if your account is zeroed, then you're fully enrolled. If you don't get the approved status, then you get the second, it's application returned. So we might, or the team might return the application because it is missing the required documents. Like for instance, we require the learner agreement, your APC results, your ITC results, your copy of ID that is quite clear, and I think it's the proof of address if I'm not mistaken, but you'll see in the application process those documents are outlined. So if any of the document is missing, oh yes, and also the invoice. If any of the documents are missing, then the application is returned and we give you another opportunity to address that. In which case, when you have addressed it, then the 3 days kicks back again. And also the last outcome will be application rejected because you don't tick one of the boxes that they have that they've laid out. So those boxes are, yes, you are a South African citizen, you've set for APC 2021, and you are black or colored. Yes, that's the one I was forgetting. So if you meet those criteria and submit the documents, then the process will be swift and you'll get your outcome within the committed time. Please make sure that you have all the documents and follow the instructions on the application. So that is how that works. And if you don't qualify for funding, then it will mean that your tuition, and your first time, it will mean that your tuition will be 10,500 and 25% will be required upon registration, and the balance will then be divided over the remaining month up until 30 September 2022. So when it comes to payment plans, we don't charge any admin fees. We don't charge any penalties. We don't charge any interest. We just ask that what you commit to the plans that you have or that is outlined. Then the other option is the EPC case study package. So when it comes to the EPC case study package, these are candidates that are saying that I've gone through the programs before or a program before, and I am clear that it's not that I am lacking in terms of understanding the expectation, but I just really need help in terms of getting the case study preparation right. I'm finding that when I get there in the assessment, I am missing this, I'm doing this, and I need help there. So you also have a valid certificate from a previous program that you did. If you are there, then the case study package will then be what? Something to consider. So the candidates that registered for our case study package really did well last year. They were committed. They will then make sure that they follow the administrative process of enrolling for the case studies, and in terms of presenting themselves, in terms of the quality of their attempts, and really it produced the results, very good results for the candidates that were registered as part of the case study package. And another thing was that they were saying that they know how their next 3 months is going to look like, or 6 months is going to look like. They know that they've got those clients that are on steroids in terms of work, and they know that they're not going to be able to commit to a full program. So because of that, they were saying that, thank you very much. I don't need the phase 1 and phase 2 content. Let's just work together on phase 3. Help me to get the research right. Help me to get the analysis right. Help me to develop responses that demonstrate competence. So that is then the journey we undertook with those candidates. And there is still a lot of value in that particular program, especially if you are at a point where now you have undertaken that reflection and you are clear, you can detail that these are your problems and you need the team to assist you with. And additionally, those candidates, we do give them access to the CTA ITC videos from the time that they enrolled until the assessment day. So they can still benefit from that technical refresher opportunity. And we also give them a 60 minutes one-on-one session with the senior marketing team per assessment. So unlike the full program where you get unlimited time, so with this case study, you get 1 hour where you will then need to say, Fedi, can I have 1 hour with you? Rendani, Asen, Elton, Kumu, can I just have 1 hour? Help me through this. And you can break it down to say maybe 20 minutes with Rendani, 20 minutes with Fedi, and so on and so on. But the structure of the EPC case study works with what? 60 minutes one-on-one session per assessment. Then we make provisions for laptops if you are as part of the case study package but need laptops. So we do provide laptops, and again at no additional fee than the one you've already enrolled at. If you are based in South Africa, we then facilitate the venue-based assessment. So when it comes to phase 3, you are treated as a fully enrolled candidate. Then the tuition for that is 5,500. So that includes 1, the sitting of the case studies, the marking thereof, the detailed feedback that I've mentioned, as well as attending the classes where we go through the case studies. So that is included for each and every one of the 3 case studies. And if you qualify for Tutuka, you can also use your Tutuka funding in order to fund the case study package. So you can then say, I've got the certificate and I see that I qualify for the Tutuka funding. Can I use, let's call it a credit for a lack of better word, my credit against the case study package? Definitely you can do so. So that is how the fee structure actually works. And maybe you're saying that, can I make arrangements if my employer or if my employer has agreed to pay? Yes, you can. So when you log in again on my university, you'll see where it says my finances. And under my finances, you'll see complete employer letter. So you can just attach an invoice, complete the details, and an email will be shot off. Excuse me. And an email will be shot off to our finance team, as well as your employer advising that you are registered into our program, and if they can confirm that they're going to pay. So if they confirm, then we work with those arrangements. If they're a new firm, then there are some documents that we ask for in order to have them loaded. If we already have them as our partner firm, then it's much quicker. Upon receiving that notification, we just follow the standard protocol that we have. Like for instance, if you are with KPMG, you don't need to follow that process. What you just need to do, you register with your KPMG email, drop our finance team an email and say, I'm with KPMG. I want to enroll into this program. They will assist. And with your KPMG email, that will be enough. Your account will be treated as having paid. So that's why I'm saying that given the different employer arrangements, it can be very, very quick. Then I've mentioned the payment plans for those that may be funding the tuition on their own, and also the Tutuka funding process. So as I was saying, that the Tutuka funding process is available immediately when you log in My Universe, whether your account is activated or not. If your account is already activated and you are wondering that, but guys, I've already paid you and I want to apply for the Tutuka funding, how does it work? You can apply, and once your application is approved, then we enter into what? Into a process of refunds. So we've clarified when the refunds come in. So we just wait until they're all backed up at the end of July, and then we start paying them as soon as what? As soon as the Tutuka process is done. And with the Tutuka process, I mentioned that there's the details on the application process, there's the details on the application form, and then there's a screen where you can view the status of your application at any point. So you'll see it's called View Outcome. It will start as processing. As it's been processed, it can go to approved, returned, or rejected. So at any point, you are able to see where the application process is at. We encourage everyone that qualifies to apply as soon as possible. Do not delay. I see someone has shared it. Thank you very much, Sinao. Thank you. Yes, there we go. Yes, the program. So the program this year, we are running it on an online only basis. It's facilitated in this format. It's Teams. And in terms of how it works, we've got a timetable available online. So the timetable will then clarify the remaining part of the program. It will also clarify the assessment dates. We always aim, unless there is something that is extremely beyond our control and forces us to do so, to commit to the case study dates that we've published. And if you then need assistance in terms of just confirming with the employer, we've got a letter that you can download on My Universe, and it will then say, dear employer, this is to confirm that candidate with these full names and ID is enrolled into the EPC program, and these are the case study dates, and they're applying for what? They're applying for for leave and so on. So that's what the letter will detail. So it's in an official letterhead so that you can get your leave with ease. So we had that process last year with the candidates and it worked well. So we are going to follow suit in terms of just helping you to get that leave. In terms of the guidance of the leave, we always recommend, obviously, the day of the assessment. And if it is any way possible, then take Monday, Tuesday off as well. It then helps in terms of just focusing on the case study. And if you are at one of those dream employers, then take Friday as well off. Then you know the moment the case study pre-release comes out on a Friday, you then have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and that will likely be much more than what enough to get you through. But if you are saying that you are pressed, at least always aim to have one day, but our primary recommendation is to try to get what? Try to get Monday and Tuesday off. And if you want to then just say that I've got a team around Midrand and just want to wear somewhere to meet, the team can also what? Arrange for that. Then with the mentorship, Fedis did also speak quite a lot about it. It's a one-on-one mentorship, so we don't necessarily subscribe to group mentorship. But if your mentor has got two mentees, and you're one of them, and the mentor asks if you don't mind, then we leave that up to you to then decide whether you want to then work in that kind of setting with the mentor's other mentees, but it's up to you. So if you say no, you will have all the rights to do so because we've committed to a one-to-one mentorship program. And one of the things that we've done this year is that we've restructured it to be much more aligned. So in terms of alignment, we're just trying to say, we don't want you to then hear that someone is having a good experience with the mentor, they're going through case studies and so on, and you're saying yours doesn't. So what we've then done with the mentors this year, we've then given them guidance in terms of how we want the mentorship to work, and also how we want to support them. So as part of then that process, we've developed 5 sessions, starting with an introduction, a reflection of phase 2, and a reflection on each of the 3 case studies. And we've then given them typical questions, and we do meet with them after each and every case study so that they are aware of where the program is, where the needs in general of the candidates are, and therefore how they can better support you. So this is something that we really consider to be critical in our process, and also as part of developing professional competence, and that we want to just make sure you get the very best out of it. Then, in terms of the assessment structure, Fedi has gone through that in quite a lot of detail. The mini case studies, the 3 primary case study plus the sub, the first case study being non-venue based and the other ones venue based. And the venue based, just to confirm, at this point, it's RSA only. We do provide those letters to assist with what? With leave. Then online portal, it's My Universe. This is where you'll then be able to do what? Interact with the program, book the consultations that we've been talking about, have access to your results, undertake appeals, access the material, access previous videos. And if you need team members, you'll then be able to view the profiles of other team members, load your profile, and you can contact each other in order to build what? To build that community to really then help you beyond even the program. Registrations are currently open. We officially close on the 1st of July 2022, just a week before the case study kick-off phase. registration is online. Once you register, we send you a welcome note. So the welcome note will then clarify a lot of admin process that we've mentioned, how to enroll into a mentorship, how to access the classes, where to find the timetable, where to find the links, how to then enroll into the case studies. So all those details are in the welcome note, and including a link to join the WhatsApp group. So we've got a WhatsApp group that we've got a WhatsApp group that has got other candidates, and the group, it's all yours. Come case study time, we exit the group, and you can use it as an engagement platform, sharing documents with other candidates while the professional team is out. So that is what that is in terms of the general information about the program, and more details are in that welcome note that you're going to receive upon registration. So tomorrow, that's when we are publishing it. So we wanted to just make sure we have this session so that when you receive it, you understand its context, that it's meant to clarify a lot of the things that we could have talked about. And you're saying, where do I start? Where do I see the mentors? Where do I get this? Where do I get this? The welcome note will help you to do that. And once you do, you'll then find that you are just part of the cause. You're part of the team, and everything will be accessible to you. And that is it from my side. Are there any questions that you want to just then clarify, or issues that you may want to clarify? I see a hand. Let me see. Yes, please go for it.
Good day. Evening.
Evening.
I just confirm that the case study seems to be venue based. If you are a foreigner, will you be allowed not to write maybe at an arranged center other than the venue?
Oh, so we've got we've got a guideline that we then publish for non-South African candidates, which then talks to how we then also go about facilitating those assessments as well as the related invigilation process. So you will then be writing on a non-venue basis all the case studies. And then what will then happen is that we facilitate the invigilation thereof via Teams. So our online teams will then provide support. So for instance, you'll then log in and then you'll be given a password. The password will allow you to then download the IOD. And after you download the IOD, you'll be given time to print the IOD. And after you've printed, you'll then be required to be seated at a particular time so that the additional instruction from the invigilators will come, and the guidance, there's a guidance that we publish dealing with those all those elements. So we don't facilitate those assessments on a venue-based basis.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. Kamhelo, you on top of the list.
Thank you, Rendani. I just wanted to ask, you said something about the timetable obviously being available online. The one that I see, it's just basically the brochure that shows the registration dates, and can you just please give a bit of guidance as to where the timetable is?
I had expected to be there, but let me share it via Teams as well, just to help in that regard.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anyone in the meantime, you can go ahead while I quickly look through this.
Hi, Rendani.
Hi.
My question has to do with foreign candidates as well. So I'm currently in Zimbabwe and would like to take up the repeaters program. But my question has to do with if I write the assessment. I understand that currently your program marks the assessments from an essay context. Will you be able to come up with maybe a localized solution that will cater for our Zim scenario? Is it possible?
So in terms of context, because when it comes from and just to clarify, so at the end of last year, we made a decision that with regards to localization and also adoption for the legislation, we are going to then keep it to only the South African context. And when we made that decision, we then considered whether it will really fully or significantly undermine the benefit to someone outside South Africa. And we then took the view that given that one, from an accounting perspective, it's the international financial reporting, which is then applicable consistently across different environments. So that was one. Then number two, it is from the perspective of business acumen. That from a business acumen perspective, because currently in the team we don't have anyone outside South Africa or someone based outside of South Africa, we were afraid that we might not be able to really deliver that depth that some of you might be able to bring in the case studies, because we might not be as familiar with the context in that environment. And also just in terms of accessing the information, the team is quite familiar with the South African context, maybe then the publication that covers the South African news, business news information and so on. That from that perspective, that as much as there could be issues that are constantly, say for a management accounting issue, a finance issue, there are probably fundamentals we can agree on, but in terms of some other consideration, we were just afraid that it's either going to complicate the process or otherwise complicate the solution. And at the time, we had very limited number of candidates to then justify the resources required to then go into that level of detail. So based on some of those kind of factors of saying that in terms of the differences in one, international reporting standards, that there's limited differences in terms of business acumen, that there will be key elements that will be aligned, but the depth in some cases might be different. Then when it comes to tax, we find that the tax legislation was materially different in some instances. And then come to auditing. Audit in some instances, when it comes to the international audit standard, it was not a problem. But when we come to matters of governance, it also then required a detailed level of resources that at the time we were not able to commit, also because our program is not accredited in Zim at this point. So based on those kind of decision and factors, we then took the decision not to do it, not to then have a separate adoption of the case study as well as the text case studies accordingly. And that's the position that we're currently at right now.
So maybe just to ask, if I decide to continue with with EPC.
Yeah.
Say I write an assessment and I just write it as normal as I'm used to answering it. When you're then marking it, given that most of the questions are not so different from the essay way of asking, will it prejudice me in any way? Let's say all of the other questions were the same from both a Zim and an essay perspective, and maybe it was just the text one that was apparent in terms of legislation that this would be different from an essay context. Will I then be prejudiced such that when you're then assessing me, I might then end up getting perhaps an LC instead of a C, or that text component would not really hinder you from giving me a true assessment of the whole case?
That part I can confirm that no, it will not hinder you. No.
Okay.
No,
I think. Yeah, I think that's where my worry is. I do have a couple of my friends, and we're quite a number of us, and we are currently in possession of valid APC certificates, but we feel that we might really get good exposure from EPC, and we just wanted to find out how you would go about that part for us.
Yeah. All right. No, fair enough. And if there are any specific things, it's always good to then just reach out, and then we can talk so that you are quite clear in terms of how we undertake that process. But in terms of the pervasive skills and say the accounting international audit standard, there are no material differences, and you should absolutely be fine.
Thank you. So I think we'll just team up and we will send you an email with all of the relevant questions we feel we might want to understand further.
Thank you.
Hi, Rendani. Sorry, that's Alton here.
Good evening, Alton.
Hi, everyone. Maybe if I can just come in with regards to the question about the Zim and Namibia, maybe I could also just explain what happens at a cycle context when we're marking at APC. And I think it's similar to what we follow at EPC, is that when there are differences in the case study, the subtle differences like in how a student may answer because of their Zim context or NAM context, we actually do spend time to say, well, where do we need to, as markers, retrain ourselves so that certain things that we were used to from a South African context in terms of answers, we just need to be aware that this is what we need to look out for from a Namibian and a Zimbabwe context. So maybe just want to re-emphasize the point that you're definitely not going to be penalized because we are gearing ourselves to be alert to those subtle differences.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Alton. I don't know whether did you get it? The teams that just said FN, just to confirm.
Yes, I did. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, no, thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, and the subtle differences that Elton mentioned. I remember marking one of the previous assessments. There was a point of shortage of fuel, and I think at first I was quite surprised that, no, wait, why is the South African candidate talking about this and I've never heard of this? So it's those kind of small things, because generally speaking, the likes of pastel potters will still be equally applicable. But yeah. Okay, thank you, Elton. Kulekani, yes, please go for it.
Good afternoon.
Evening.
Yeah,
it's a long day for you.
Yeah. My question is, I just want your honest response, guys. I noted that I didn't join this program last year, so I noted that.
Kulekani, I'm losing you. Sorry. Did I lose you completely? Or am I the one lost? Can you still hear me?
We can still hear you, Rendani. I think we did lose Kulekani.
Okay, maybe I'll come back. Is it Millicent? Millicent, or?
Hi, Rendani.
Hi, yes, Millicent.
I'm great, thank you. So I just wanted to ask from a text perspective, because like you were saying, there are some differences that are quite material in terms of text legislations. So say a particular text section is triggered and that doesn't apply in Zim. Is that then okay for the Zim students to not attempt such a task, and then you're graded maybe according to the 7 tasks that you would have attempted?
Yes, yes. So when you enroll for the case study, you'll see that it asks you which institute you're going to be sitting with. So we then use that information internally. So every time you submit a case study, then we get that information, and then those scripts can then be assessed on that basis. So it's something that we already have as part of the submission process. So it can be arranged to be as such. I think that will be the easiest way.
All right, cool. Thank you very much.
But thank you. Paul, I think you're the last one on the list.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My question is, I don't know if I'm correct, but I somehow get the feeling that particularly if people have to write a sub, that even if they are borderline, they get to go through and have an opportunity to get a shot at the APC, at the SAICA APC. I don't know if I've got a correct understanding of the facts or of the reality, but is that the case with you guys? I mean, because I don't understand why somebody or quite a lot of us could pass an APC, I mean, a board course, but be unsuccessful at the SAICA exam. You know, so I just want to understand from you giving us an opportunity to go through and write the SAICA APC, how hardlined will you be that definitely I am 100% competent to pass the APC?
So no, fair question. So that's a question that I'll direct to our academic head. Ready?
How I got the feeling that you're gonna direct the tough ones to me. You've been doing well. Paul, I guess indeed, it's never a hard line, as in we don't take a particular hard line that guarantees anything in life. Maybe starting by saying, by the time we give you the certificate, we are confident that you will represent us well. Meaning you've got more likely going to be able to make it through SAICA. What do we mean by that is that we've developed you and we've assessed your professional competence, and we're comfortable. And we've assessed you on a number of occasions, 3 case studies plus the SAP in some instances where you had to write the SAP. And that's why ultimately then we're comfortable. I mean, if, for instance, we get to that point, but you go and write the assessment and something unfortunate happens on that day that you're not able to complete 2 tasks. I mean, SAICA is not going to declare you competent, right? But it's something isolated that we can go and zone on and say, why did we declare you competent and then you write the SAICA SAP and we're not competent? And I think this year it's an easier question for someone like me to answer, because I mean, if I look at the stats for the candidates that we certified and said you are ready for to write the SAICA APC, on the first timers we got the 100%. On the repeat candidates, some of them we had assessed the year before and we got 60%, and it's got to go back to the 40% of our candidates, of our repeat candidates that did not make it at SAICA and say why. Okay, what really went wrong, and to try to understand that, and we're doing that in the background. I mean, flip it the other way to say, well, then is our line hard so that as in Did we not send people that were potentially going to make it? Potentially, you know, but I guess it becomes a difficult one where, let's say, for instance, I give you a case study, and you, because you know that you've got the certificate already, and you know it's my last certificate, it's my last what do we call this, case study, and you don't give it your full being on the basis that you know that you're already holding on to a certificate, right? And you're going to write APC anyway. And I can't control that. Would I still send you with a new certificate? I'll say, well, based on what I'm seeing, you're not ready, right? But I'll still pray hard enough that when you go and write with the existing certificate, you make it. Because
yeah, I get you.
You get what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
indeed, it's a really a tough professional judgment that we need to evaluate at all times, and we do that. We give it our due consideration. Trust me.
Okay, no, that's a fair answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, sure.
Any other question?
Thank you, Vedi. Elton, you wanted to add something? Or are you good?
No, I'm good. I think Ferdy's wisdom was awesome there. So yeah, nothing to add. I think it's a good question and a difficult one to answer because education is not a straight line. But yeah, we will be doing our best. And however it turns out, we will also be praying for those who we may not certify but still have a certificate. We definitely want the best outcome for everyone. So yeah, I got nothing really to add.
Thank you. Agreeing with Feli's response in that regard. All right, I don't see any other question. I see the team has been assisting with the chats. Does it mean we all good? Oh yes, and 100% really. We want to make sure we don't leave anyone behind. Is it Sizwe? I see a hand just went up. Sizwe, please go for it.
Thanks, Rendani. It's just one last quick question, administrative question.
Sure.
I tried to add the course on the cards, but I'm getting an internal error. I did send an email to the caretaker. Is the registration not open as yet, or what could be the issue?
Yeah, it's an unusual one. So I think what did you speak to the online team?
I couldn't get the online, but I sent an email.
All right, okay. Yeah, if you send an email, I'll ask them to just get back to you in that regard after they've resolved it. But yeah, I'll check with them to see if it's an issue that we need to escalate to our development team. But no, thanks for alerting me to that.
All right, thanks.
Thanks. Bali.
This is similar to Sizwe, but I also wanted to know who exactly do we send because I can't register online. So who do we, when you say caretaking team, do you just choose a name?
Yeah, so yes, you can just choose a name, but if it's online related, you can then shoot it straight to the online team. But if it's administrative or you just want to clarify anything, the APC caretaker will then be the best person to talk to. But anyone you reach should then be able to assist. But what you can do now, you can also just drop it in the chat, and then I can take screenshots before we leave, and then make sure I share and they get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Rendani.
Hi.
I wanted to ask,
yes,
in terms of the certificates that are then issued like after the program has been completed. Do we also get those, like even though you have a certificate for APT, but do we also have something to show that I went through the program and then I did well? Do we get those, or is just for people that need certificates to then sit for the exam?
So just to confirm, so you are saying that at the end of the program, right?
Yes.
And then so do you mean a certificate of completion versus a certificate of eligibility to sit for APC?
Yes.
Okay. So we issue only the certificate of eligibility, the one that confirms that you can then sit for the APC case study with SICA, and that is then the certificate that will then be valid for a 3-year period. So yeah, the completion one, we don't have that in place.
Okay.
Yes. But if you want confirmation in one way or the other, we can just see if we can put it in a letter to confirm. So that could be arranged for you if you need something like that.
Oh, all right, that will be great. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so thank you, Sizo. I've noted that. I've escalated it to our team. Yeah, so I've noted that. Thank you. I think I see one more hand. Ketawake. You can go for it. Yes. Hi.
I wanted to ask, with regards to the question that I just asked now, would it, I don't know if I should say wrong to then get another certificate and then use that one, even though we already have the one from APT, use the EPC certificate to write the exam in December?
We will really love for you to use our certificate, carry the brand, and make us proud. So when you have that certificate, we'll want you to be as proud as we are about it. So that would be great.
So it's something that can be done, that like, okay, even if I have a certificate, I'm now in this course, I do the course, say I qualify to then get the certificate to write the exam, then I get the certificate and continue in that manner.
Yes, I believe so. So I believe so, because so the process that we do is that at the end of the year, once we have the full certification list, we send it to SICA, and we then ask them to enroll you or to use that list as part of confirmation that you are coming from APC. So what we can just do is to then confirm that yes, the candidates, unless we've received a request otherwise, is that they will want to confirm that they are writing using these certificates. So that is something that we can arrange as part of the verification process. No worries. Thank you. Okay. I don't have any question. So it was a very engaging session. So thank you very much for all your engagements and for also attending this session. We hope to have you in our program and to walk this journey together to your APC success. Thank you very much. Any final word from your side, Fedi? Elton?
Sure. I want to say from my side, I think that, you know, I mean, APC, as we've seen, it's not easy. It's not easy to get through. But I think when I think of the APC exam and the learning journey it requires you to go on, it's an amazing learning journey that will benefit you long beyond qualifying as a CA, and we're trusting here with all of you that you're all going to qualify as CAs. But I think what I just want to encourage everyone with, that the learning journey is not easy, but the learning journey it's not just going to reap the benefits of qualifying as a CA, it's going to reap benefits well beyond being a CA. And I think when you view it through that context, just embrace the struggle, because it's not going to be easy. You know, you guys are going to be working and all of those things, but embrace the struggle because it's going to reap benefits long beyond having those 4 letters behind your name, which we're all looking out for. So that's what I want to encourage you guys with. And yeah, to let you know that we are here to work with you on this journey, because we know the door that it can open up for you, and we're excited to follow your journeys well beyond you qualify as CAs.
Thank you very much, Elton. Agree 100%.
Indeed, and thank you to every single one of you guys for giving us a listening ear. Really encouraged with the amount of questions and participation, but most importantly, looking forward to having every single one of you guys in our class and making us proud in the APC 2022. As Rendani put it, you will be proud of the brand, and we want you to be the family and the friend of the brand. And thank you, and looking forward to it. Thanks, everyone, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.